Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today we're doing my bookmark tutorial. I'm so sorry that I have been inactive on here. I had a busy month in February and then I do have a semi-busy month in March, but I'm feeling like things are starting to slow down. So I wanted to begin doing this. By the time you're seeing this, obviously I've finished it. I apologize for the camera shaking. I am doing my best, working with what I can. I apologize for any external noise that may happen in the background. I am working with limited time between kids being awake and home and just all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna get right into it, but I wanted to show you guys everything you are going to need if you wanted to make one of the bookmarks the way I make it. Also, disclaimer, this is the way I make my bookmarks. There are plenty of other ways you can do this. Everyone has their own way of doing things, whether it's right or wrong. This is the way I do it, and I hope you guys understand. I'm going to try and be doing this as if you are a beginner, but take it with a grain of salt. I've never done a tutorial before, and I really want this to be good quality. So let's get right into everything you're going to need for this video. So first, you're going to want to pick out a pattern. Yes, I did laminate this. I have an inkjet printer that I just screenshotted on my phone and printed this off and laminated it because I don't want it to get wet and get ruined. You can find this on Bracelet book, obviously. This is pattern number 72907, and it is by B. Binsky. And everything we're going to need to know is on this little piece. So to do a bookmark, we're obviously going to need the plastic canvas. This is the size of it is 10 by 65. I will be explaining how I measure the dimensions and cut it out. So we'll get to that in a minute, but there's that. Up here it tells you how many colors you're going to need. I need 5 for this one, and we're going to match the colors as best we can. I've already picked them out. So for the background, I do have this like purpley blue color, and it is in the DMC thread number 158. And then for the ghosts, they are white, so I got the DMC blanc. And then for their eyes, we've got the DMC black, which is 310. For the little blush under their eyes, I have the DMC thread number 963. And then for the heart, I think it's supposed to be red, but I wanted to go with this like pinky red, burgundy red, whatever you want to call it, but it's DMC number 498. I'm trying to be able to show you guys this clearly, so I apologize. Okay, so we've got all our colors, we've got the plastic canvas. We're obviously going to need a needle. I believe this is size 22. I can't remember suddenly. But size 20, size 22, any should work as long as it can hold all 6 strands of the DMC thread. Just one single normal strand. So for instance, like when I pull it out, this is what I mean. It has 6 strands in each one strand. So we're working with the whole thing. So a lot of people will have this little threader, essentially put it through, put your thread through, and then pull it through. You don't have to. You can do it the hard way and try and spend forever poking it through, but I highly recommend getting one of these. I think I got a pack of 2 for like $1. So pretty inexpensive, but if you don't have one, that's fine. You don't need it. So we have the colors, plastic canvas, we've got the needle. I do have these little thread cutting scissors. You don't need these, but I find that they work so much nicer with the thread. Or you can just have a regular pair of scissors, because regardless of if you have these or not, oops, you are going to need a pair of scissors to cut the plastic canvas. They can be any kind of scissors as long as it will cut through the canvas. These are just normal scissors. Also, I recommend you have some kind of like dry erase marker or like washable Crayola marker. I made the mistake of using Sharpie, and I found out the hard way that it can actually rub off on lighter color threads and stain it and make it look dirty. So I highly recommend you get something that can be easily wiped off. So there's that. And then of course you're going to need felt for the back of the bookmark. I got this at Hobby Lobby. This one's 39 cents, but I do have others that you can get for 25 cents. I find that the 25 cents are a little thinner, but this one is a little thicker. It doesn't matter either way, it's going to be thick regardless, but you'll need some kind of felt that's going to go with maybe like one of the colors. Unless you don't have that option, you could do like a neutral color or whatever works for you, honestly. And then of course we get to the plastic canvas size. So I do use the 10 mesh or the 10 count plastic canvas. I get this from Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I've had people ask me about Amazon. I have not gotten any from Amazon, so I really can't tell you my thoughts on it or whether or not, you know, it is the right size on Amazon or not, because sometimes the pictures make it look bigger. So I apologize. If I ever get some from Amazon, I will be sure to let you guys know my thoughts on it and leave links, but I cannot say anything about it because I have not gotten plastic canvas off Amazon. But I do get these, they're 99 cents, and you get this pretty big sheet and it lasts for a while anyway. But I have like a whole bunch of stock of these because I go through them pretty quickly. Not so recently, but usually. So what we need to do first is we need to get the dimensions, mark it with the dry erase marker, and then we'll cut them out. I'm going to put this black felt here so that we can see it closer, and I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see how I do this. It's not hard at all, but I'm going to explain it to you. So, okay, now that we're zoomed in, I'm trying to work with this small desk, so okay, so the way I do this, if you're not familiar with cross stitch, each of these 4 squares here, that's gonna make up one cross stitch. So for every little X, I count that as 1 going towards the dimensions. So we're going to take the dry erase marker, and I go first. I'm going to, I don't know why this isn't focusing right. Okay, so first I'm going to, so I hope you guys can see that. Maybe I need to use a different color. Let's see, will pink work? That one might work a little better. I'm trying so hard to like make sure you guys can see this. So that little X is 1. So we have to do 10, so I'm going to go across 10. Okay, and then we have to go up 65. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do a time lapse because essentially it's the same thing. You're just going up 65. And yes, you're going to be doing every X. You're not leaving a space between for each square of 4, because that's going to also count as a square of 4. You'll see what I mean. If you know cross stitch already, then this should be obvious to you, but if not, that is essentially what we're doing. So the next one's going to go there and there, so 4, 5. So it's just going to continue going up until we have 65. Okay, so when you're done marking it, you should have something that looks like that. Normally I do the marking, I'll go across and then go up on this side, but for the purposes of this video, I am going up like that, so you should have something that looks like that. So essentially, when you're cutting, you want to make sure that you're doing it on the outside of that last one. So you don't want to cut into this square. So you want to make sure you're cutting on the outside. try not to cut too close because it'll thin the outside part here, and then it could cause it to break through. So you want to make sure you're leaving it the thickness. You're just cutting off the little prong. So you'll see here that we're just cutting into that next one after that. So does that make sense? You can see we're cutting like that. And you're gonna go up. And you're just gonna go above a little bit where the line is, and then you're gonna do the same thing. You don't want to go to this one. You wanna go, this is so hard to explain, but you don't want to cut right here. You want to cut the next up here. So not any of the holes that are part of the 4. You want the next one. I'm so sorry that the angles are really hard on this. I am trying to film this with a tripod in front of me. These are not the best scissors, but if you have like any of these little things left, you can either go through and try to fix it without cutting into any of the rest, or sometimes I'll take like nail clippers and I'll just like clip them off if it really bothers you, because sometimes on like the actual canvas, like here, they'll be sticking up and I just take nail clippers and it just clip them right off. Okay, let me put this stuff away. So essentially we're left with the bookmark. I'm just making sure it's the same size, which it is. You guys might not have a reference, but I do. So because I used a dry erase marker, I should be able to wipe this off pretty easily. A lot of times I'll just go through and use my thumb to get it off. I do recommend, if you're using a lighter background, that you try to get all of it off, whether by soap and water or whatever. It should not hurt the plastic canvas. And then just wipe it off as long as you get the majority off. But I do recommend that if you're using a light background, you get this off, or use like a color that's similar to that to mark it, because it will rub off. But because today's background color is a dark color, it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to put this one aside. I am trying to decide about the colors. I think I'll just leave this like this so that you guys can see the plastic canvas, because my stuff on my desk is really hard to, it makes it really hard to see. So like you couldn't really see too much. So these though make it so much easier, especially the black. So I think for right now we're going to do that. So like I said, you got your needle, and then you're going to want to do a thread. You're gonna want to do one about the wingspan of your arms. That's what I start out with anyway. You may want to start shorter. It's not gonna matter. You'll just have to do it more often, like add more string often. But essentially you're gonna do the wingspan length of this. It can get knotted, but if we come to that, I'll explain. So you're going to take your needle, and if you don't have one of these, then you're just gonna thread it through like you normally would. But if you do have one of these, you can use it, which it helps so much. It's such a little thing, and you would think, oh, I don't want to spend $1 on it, but like it helps so much. So we've got it, we've pulled it, so it has like a little extra tail. I like to make sure mine's longer because I don't want to have any issues. So this is the part where it gets a little confusing, but I'm going to zoom in and we'll start the process. Okay, so I'm trying to get it so it's clear. So like I said, we have a set of 4, and that's going to be a cross stitch. But the way I do a cross stitch is I go up through the top right, and then I come down through the bottom left. So we're gonna just, for the start, we're just going to pull this all the way through until the tail is short, so till it looks probably like that. And I'm going to kind of line this up with that line there, and I'm going to hold it so that it's not moving all over. So it should be looking like this. And the way I do it is I don't make a cross stitch all in one go. I will go down through that bottom left, and I pull through till I have something that looks like that. Now on the back, when we go to do the other one, you want to make sure that when you're coming, that when you are coming back up through the back to make the next one, that you are doing it above this. You don't want it to be under the line. So like when I come back through, I want to be above the line, not below it, because this is going to secure it. So I'm going to explain to you what I mean. So go back through, hold the string. If you're having trouble, what I do is I just literally will scrape this down until, like lightly, until I get there, and then I will go up through the right, down through the left, and then on the back you will see that it has kind of covered it as like a little knot, and it's holding it still. So that's how we're going to be holding this string down. Now, as you can see, I pulled it a little through, so it's a little longer, but I will show you how to deal with that if that happens. So we're going to do this a couple more times. Like I said, you want to be sure you are over the thread and not under it. So, and be sure not to stab yourself. So remember, up through the top right, down through the top left. So up through the top right, down through the top left, and pull it through. Okay, usually when I get about here, I will come back through and I will just take my little pair of scissors and I will hold it at the last notch with my nail, and that kind of helps it stick up. And I'll pull this down so I don't cut anything, and I will cut it sort of close to the last one. So it still has a little tail, but that's not going to matter. It's not going to make a difference, but essentially we have enough to hold it. So we're going to continue then, going from the up through the top right, down through the top left. Sorry. Okay, so I almost got a knot. So when you feel it getting a knot, do not pull it. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time of getting the knot out, and you're just going to want to restart. So just be careful. You want to stop it before it happens, because otherwise you're going to get frustrated and potentially break the project or feel like you need to start over. So up through the top right, down through the bottom left. We're just going to keep going all the way over. I guess I should have mentioned, we're following the pattern and we're holding it this way. So we've got all of this to do before we get to the actual pattern. And I did this so that I could explain it, and it was an easier pattern. So I apologize. I'm feeling all kind of out of order with this, but this is my first time doing a tutorial, so please bear with me. But we have a long way to go. So we have one more up through the top right, down through the bottom left, Okay, now we're going to finish the cross stitch, and I'm going to turn my project like this, and we're going to turn it like this now. So that is the top, that is the bottom is the top now. So now we're going to go through the bottom right, up and over that string to the top left. And that has made our first little cross stitch. So up through the top, up through the bottom right, and then down through the top left. So you're just making a cross stitch or an X. Up through the bottom right, down through the top left. Up through the bottom right. Okay, so you see how I kind of have one stuck here. If that happens, you can either continue through, it shouldn't hurt it too badly, or just pull back out and come back up through without catching that little piece of string. Oops. Down through the top left. And you'll see that you're gonna have these spaces in between. Not right here because of that string there, but that's what my completed little cross stitch looked like on the back. Up through the bottom right, down through the top left. You just keep doing that till you get all the way back across. And everyone's pace is different. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm going a little faster, but if you can only do it like one way and very slow, that's fine. When I started out, I used to go all the way up for the one thing and pull it out, and then I would go all the way down and pull it out. So if that's the easiest way you can do it that way. I find it's easier to just do the half stitch all in one go. It's faster and easier. Okay, now this has a lot of turning. We're going to turn the pattern back so that this is at the bottom. I find it's just easier to do it this way. So you're gonna do the same thing, but we're just moving up one above. So one from the top right down through this bottom left. Do not try and keep it from going into the string. It'll look nicer and it won't get tangled. So we just do that all the way across. So remember, top right, bottom left. Oop, okay, so you'll see here that I lost my thing on it. I wasn't paying attention to it. If that happens, you can just pull it out. Now, I see that some of the strings are having some issues, and there might be like the tiniest little knot here, so I'm not worried about it. I don't feel like messing with it. So I'm just going to cut that off. It happens, and the more you use it, the more the strings will have issues at the end. They'll become uneven at parts. It's okay. That's why I like to make this tail longer. That doesn't happen. But we are just going to continue going up through the top right, down through the bottom left. And if you're wondering, this is why I don't do this on screen, because the table wobbles the camera and it's hard to stay in frame and it's hard to do it fast. But this is my first time doing it like this, so it is a learning thing for all of us. So we're gonna keep going till we get to the end. Also, I just want to mention, if you can see, there are some like little plastic things here that look like it's closed over. Honestly, these needles are sharp enough. Just poke through. It's not gonna hurt your project at all. So just in case you're wondering. So up through, down, up through, down. Now we're gonna turn it so that that's at the top, and it's gonna be bottom right to top left, so right in there. And you've got your second row started. Bottom right, down through top left. Don't worry, I'm not... Okay, so if you'll see right there, I did something wrong. Instead of going over, I went up. So all I do is I remove my needle from that. I will go over here and I will try to carefully just pick up that piece that went down the wrong one. And I will use my needle like this to carefully pull it out, but we want to make sure we don't get a knot. So like this has a little knot going on. So typically what I do with these is I just try to work it out. Sometimes you have to go in with the needle and see. It's most of the time you should just be able to pull the knot out like that. But sometimes, so I'm gonna grab that, continue pulling it. Okay, so now I have this loose piece here. What happened? Something happened. Okay, now I have to sit here and figure out what happened. So it looks like one of them didn't get pulled enough, maybe? I'm not sure what happened. Okay, well, this is a good thing this happened so I can explain. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to undo these ones. So what I explained, just gently go back through and do the ones we just did, using this as like an anchor to pull it out. This does happen to me a lot. More than I would like it to. Just trying to figure out what happened and where, and I seem to have broken a thread. This is why I've been dreading this video, because I've never done it on camera like this before. Okay, so we have another knot. This is not going the way I thought it would. Okay, so we don't want to pull it because I can tell it's going to be rude. So I'm going to mess with it. See if I can get it undone. You know, I'm not mad this happened because then I can explain. So I got it out. I'm going to keep continuing to pull until I figure out where something went wrong, which is fine. It happens. Happens to me all the time. It's not a big deal. Just stay calm because you don't want to ruin what you do have done. Because I promise you, I've had to redo like this much before and I could have just cried. Okay, so this one, I should be able to get in here and just pull up where the loose part is and just keep pulling till I get to the end. I hope that makes sense. Somewhere along the lines in the back it didn't completely pull through. So okay, now everything is back. It is not. What is with this? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to just pull these out. This way is easier when there's only one, but something is clearly happening. So I'm going to just undo what we just did. And there seems to be like some kind of issue. This clip of this is already 17 minutes long. I'm gonna have to speed up through this. But essentially, you mess up, just go back to where the mess up happened and then keep going from there. That's all I can tell you. That's what I do. Okay, we seem to have fixed the problem. So now I have to go back through and thread the needle. It is so frustrating and painful when this happens because like it already takes so long. Not for me, usually it's whatever. I'm usually doing something while, or listening to something while I'm doing this, but anyway. So we're still up, so we have to go back down through, and I can't stress this enough. Make sure everything's pulling through straight so that you don't have to go through what we just had to go through. Okay, so you can see that there's a hot mess going on. It's because I had to pull all that stuff out, but I don't want to pull at it till I figure out what's going on. Sometimes if I just like that, there, it worked itself out. That's the hard part, is like knowing when it's going to work itself out or when you need to have some intervention with it. So like I said, we're going to get past that detour and get back to where we were. And so there we have half the stitch going across. Now we have to complete it going up through the bottom right to the top left. Make sure everything's working fine this time. I feel like that's a rookie mistake for a tutorial, but you know what? I'm happy it happened because then I can show you guys like this is what I deal with and this is how I deal with it. So bottom up through the bottom right, down through the top left, oh, and as you can see I kind of caught in between that string, so I want to come back down and kind of like shove it aside so that I'm not coming up between strands. there we have our first 2 rows done of cross stitch. That's what it should look like on the front, and this is what it should look like on the back. So obviously you're going to have to count how many rows you'll have, but what I want you to do is what I do when you get up to the row, the second row before the ghost, and you go across and then you come back and complete the stitch. Then I'll show you what I do when I'm just using the one color at a time and going around other colors and continuing on. So I'm going to continue working my way up, and I will show you what I do when I run out of string and I need to add more. So when I get to that point, I will come back and show you. But until then, just keep working all the way up until you get to the line before the blue line touching the ghost. Hopefully that makes sense. So this line, not this line. So complete all the rows up till here, which we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So when you get 21 rows completed, you're going to pause and watch what I do next if you want to do it the way I'm doing it. Okay, so I have finally ran out of my string, so I'm going to explain how I add string, but first we have to tuck this one away. So you'll see all of these running in one direction. I'm going to go the next row down, and I'm going to pick a couple things, and I'm going to shove the needle through. Now if it's too hard to shove through, pick up less string or go under less string, and then it just takes a little bit, but I just get it through and I tug it through and pull that off. Now what I found is if I make it too short to this, there's a chance that it could pull out, so I just come and I make it about that long of a tail. I hope you can see. So like that long of a tail, and then I get more string about the same length, and I just cut it, and then I'm going to thread the needle again, and then on the back I'm going to hold the tail we just cut, and then I'm going to go above it, and I'm going to go under a couple of those just like I did with that one when tucking it in. And then it takes a little bit, but you just pull it through, and again I'm going to leave about the same length tail, and this time before you start you're going to want to hold this, because if you do your first stitch and you pull, it'll pull it out and you'll have to restart it again. So you hold that, come up through the top right, bottom left, and then pull it through, and then I would do this like 5 half stitches before you let go of that, because it'll be good and secure by then. It won't pull out real easily. So I usually give it about 5 stitches or half stitches before I let go of that little tail. So turn it around, you'll see it's still there. I would just make sure it stays out of the way. We'll come back to it after we're done, but essentially that's what you're going to do, and then you're going to keep going till, what did I say, whatever number I said, 21, and then when I get there I'll stop and then explain the next part of the process. So I think I need to count how many I have, I forget, but I'm going to do that now. Okay, so we have all 21. Again, we still have one to go of this color, but I wanted you to stop the one before that because of the way I go around the patterns. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this last row here, but right before the ghost, we're just going to do the half stitch all the way down. So we're going to do that now. I apologize if I'm going out of frame. This is why I don't like filming my process of doing it when I'm doing the like themed ones, because it takes me so much longer and I do so much movement that I'm not even sure how well you guys would like it, or if it would be like really hard to see, especially on like a time lapse. I really like this color. It's a really pretty color. I knew for a while that this is the pattern I wanted to do. So I've been like holding off because at the time I hadn't figured out how I wanted to back these, and I wasn't sure how well I was going to be able to explain how I do these. I mean, for me it seems fairly simple, but other people, I'm not sure. I did watch a lot of other videos, but anyway, so we have done the half stitch going down. Now, as you can see, we do have the start of the ghost, and if we were to go back up, we would have 3 stitches, then we'd have to skip and go all the way to the 1. I find that when I'm going from top and then I have to skip a bunch, that's just a waste of yarn, and so I do it in a way where I don't have to do that. However, if you feel more comfortable just doing it that way, there is no problem. You're just going to be using a little bit more of your yarn than you will doing it the way I'm doing it next. So feel free to just keep doing what we're doing. Go over 3, skip all the white, go down, do the half stitch, and then come back up, skip all that, and then finish the cross stitches up here, and just so on and so forth. So feel free to do that if that's what you want to do. I used to do that, but again, it does waste some yarn, and while it's fairly cheap, I still don't want to waste it if I don't have to. So what we're going to do is, since we went the half stitch all the way down, I'm now going to move up this way till that last line here with the ghost, and we're going to do half stitches going up, and then we're going to complete the stitch going down until we get back to this first line, and then we are going to completely finish the stitch up this way, and then we are going to just do the half stitch going down this first 3, coming back, this 2, coming back, 1, 1, 1, and then again until we get to this line of the ghost. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to do that now. I'm so sorry. That's the only bad thing about having these laminated, is they glare so much. So I'm going to go up. So I have my half stitch completed for that last one. So I'm going to go up the stitch above, and I'm going to just do another half stitch. And then it's going to look like that. That's fine. It's going to be looking a little different since we're doing it a different way, so it's not going to look completely uniform like that, but that is okay. That's what we're going for. And then my next one, we're going to go diagonally here, do the half stitch and the half stitch. So we are going to, here's where so we want to go diagonally up to this one for the next row, up through the top right, down through that bottom left, and then we're going to go over this one because that's what the pattern says. There's 2 here. Okay, and then the next one is another single one. So we're going to go up, that single one. And then of course the next one is this double one, so we're going to go from here, we're going to go up to this one and there. And then do the second one, and then we go up and do that single one. Okay, so we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need another double and another single. So like I said, we're gonna go up here diagonally down, do the second one, and then after this one we just have one more single one, and then we'll turn this around and start coming down. So it should look like that on the back. It's gonna look like that. You're just gonna have to trust the process. Okay, we're going to turn it around, and we are going to reverse the way we're doing it. So first of all, the single ones, obviously, bottom right, top left, complete that stitch. And then we are going to come up the one that we did before it. And then we're gonna go over to this one and complete the stitch. And then we're gonna complete the next single stitch, doing it the same way, if I can get this. There. Up here. Over to that second one. Up. Covering that single one, moving on to the last double one, last single one. Okay, and as you can see, the bottom of the ghost is complete. That's what it's gonna look like for that on the back. It looks a lot nicer than all these wasted area of string. So we have to complete that whole row that we did the half. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so we have completed all the stitches going up and the bottom of the ghost, or the first ghost. So now, like I said, we are going to do the top part until we get to the last line of the first ghost, and then I'll continue on from there with you guys. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go 3 half stitches and then come back. I'm so sorry, I keep hitting this stupid tripod. Okay, we did our 3 halves. Now, you can either hold it here and come back, or you can do what we've been doing. Turn it around and come back. You just want to make sure that all your strings are all going the same way. Otherwise, you have one in the middle, it's going to look really weird. It might not be too easily noticeable, but at some point you're going to notice it and it's going to bug you, or it may not. If not, then great. If it does, however, I am so sorry. You'll probably either want to scrap it or throw it away, or you'll have to restart it. So it's important to make sure everything's going the same way. So we did the first 3. Okay, the next in the pattern is going to be 2. So we're going to get that done. we're going to turn it, come back. Okay, and then we have 3 single ones, so I'm just going to do that. Now for the single ones, you don't have to go back. You just go up through the top left, down through the bottom right. I try to keep explaining in one way, but for this, you're doing the normal one and then you're just coming back the opposite way. So hopefully that makes sense, but for the sake of this video, I will show you. You can turn it the million times doing these single ones, or you could just do it that way, but you turn around, bottom right, top left, and there is those 3. So next we do 2 and then 3, so we're going to do those. So the first is 2, and then the next one is a 3, okay, so you can see that we have that little first ghosty outline for the most part done. So the next one's going to be a straight blue one. Now you can either do what we just did for the ghost and go down, go up, down, and until you get here. Then you can do all that back and come back here like we just did with the ghost, or what I'm going to do to show you the other way, to show you what it looks like when you just skip over some, because there's not that many here like this. So I'm going to go over it and skip them, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go down and back up, and then I will show you once I finish that how I would do it beforehand. Unless it's like something small like this, then I still do it. Unless I'm being really frugal, like if I only have a little bit of that color left, then I definitely will skip it to save on some thread. But I'm going to do this line here, this complete purpley blue one, and then I'm going to come up and show you what I would do if I had to skip some. So I'm going to get right into that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished that line. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. So the next one is going to be 4 down. So I'm going to do that, and of course we're going to have to skip some. So let's do the first 4. Oops. Three and 4. Okay, so looking back at the pattern, we did the 4, so now we have to skip 2, and then we're going to do 4 of these again. So what I do is the next one would have been here, so that's 1, and then I go over 2, and then on the third one we're going to put it through. So as long as we have 2 spots skipped there, we're going to go down 4 more. Oops. Okay, we're going to turn it. Now we're going to come up this 4. Okay, remember we have to skip 2, so 1, 2. Now we gotta complete the top 4. And there's that. So on the back, you will see this big cross right here, and that's essentially what happens when you skip a bunch. These get big, and that is the string we're trying to avoid using extra of if you're being frugal, or if like you need to save on the amount because you only have 1 or something. So I'm going to continue the heart. I'll do another one with you guys. So we have another set of 4, and then we're going to skip 3 this time. Two, 3, 4. Okay, and remember we have to skip 3 this time. So 1, 2, 3. So we need to go down because now we only have 3 blues to do at the bottom. Bluish purple, whatever you want to call it. Whatever color you think it is. Okay, turn around. We're going to complete the other half of the stitch. I apologize if you hear any noises. My niece has woken up from her nap. Okay. And like I said, we skipped those 3 and came up and completed the other part. So again, I'm going to show you the back. Now we have a bigger X because we have more space this time. So that's essentially what it's going to look like if you were to have just gone from here to there instead of going around. So that is how it will look. So I'm going to continue on. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing what I've just been doing for the heart. Now when we get here to this one before the ghost, I'm going to do half a stitch. I'm going to go up, down, and finish the stitch, and then going around like we did for the first ghost. And then I'm going to complete all this purpley blue up here, and then I will move on to showing you guys how I then go on and add to the colors. So I'm going to do that now. I'm trying not to make this video too long, so if you need to have something rehashed out for this or more explained about this, just rewind, go back, and watch. It's the same thing for this ghost as it is for this one. So that's what I'm going to do. I will maybe show you guys what it looks like when I have finished doing the heart before I get to the next ghost. Okay, so I have completed the heart part, and I have done the row before the next ghost, going down with the half stitch. This is what the heart is going to look like. I do want to give you a tip that if the color of like this heart would have been white, I would have skipped around it instead of doing this, because sometimes if it's a darker color, it will show through the white depending on the white. So I tend to go around it, like for the purpose of the ghost. Obviously this color would show through a little bit in parts if I would have had it going the whole way behind it. So thankfully though that the heart is a darker color, it shouldn't matter too much, and the ghost is white, so we did not do that for that. But I have done the half stitches going all the way down before the ghost, before the second ghost, but I'm running out of string, and for the purpose of this video I wanted to explain that even if you've only done a half stitch, you can still switch out thread. So I go down 1, 2, and then I just tuck this in there and tug it through. And then going in with the scissors, like I said before, you want to make sure you leave somewhat of a little tail so that it doesn't get pulled through easily. So about like that. Toss that off, and then we're going to get more string, maybe. And like I said, I do it like a wingspan length. Cut that, and then thread the needle again. This thing is such a lifesaver. I'd still be struggling with one. And this video would be taking a lot longer without that. Anyway, so now we're going to go back in, the one above that, and then go like that. Pull it through and leave a decent amount of a tail from that one. Now, like I said, since this one's on the other side, you're still gonna need to hold it. So it's gonna be really awkward, and then you're going to continue on like I normally do for the ghost. So we're gonna go up and then finish it back down and go that way. So hold that for a good 5. 5 is like a safe number of stitches. Go up to the diagonal, because then it won't pull through whenever you're doing stuff. Sometimes you gotta tighten it. Sometimes you might get a little knot, but as long as it's close to the back, it should be okay. So like that one looks a little rough, but it's okay. Nothing's wrong with it. So there's 3. 4, and then after this one you should be good to let it go. Let the little tail go, and it shouldn't come out. Okay, I found something else I wanted to explain real quick. So I did this single stitch. Now the reason why you don't want to immediately go in diagonally to that is because if you do come up, let's see if I can get up through here, that's the spot you just went down. So if you come back up through, you're gonna undo that stitch and it's gonna be like a long stitch like that. So you don't want to do that. That's why I'm coming back down this way and then going over to that one that would have been diagonal. So going back down is more you got to think about when you're doing that, because you don't want to undo the stitch and make it look like a long stitch over 2 of them. So I just wanted to explain that because I feel like that's something I wish I would have known before I got into this, because that's something I had to figure out the hard way. Okay, so it should look like this when you're done. Here's the back. Now we're going to do some things with these ends sticking out, but not till the end. So now we're going to move on to the next color, and I think the next color we're going to do is the white. So just like the other one, do like a wingspan or arm span length of the white. And of course, we gotta thread the needle. Okay. And then just like we would do when we were replacing or like adding string, we're going to flip it. Now we're starting with the first ghost, so you're going to want to flip it towards you and just do it right there by where we're going to start. then of course you're going to want to pull that. Now, because again, like, we want to leave a little bit of a tail, it's going to hang out over the side just for now, so bear with me. But you're going to want to like tuck it down and hold it with that finger. Okay, so looking at our pattern, the first one is just all white, so we're gonna start with that. Like I said, hold on to the little tail until about 5 half stitches. I'm so sorry, my neighbor has started their motorcycle, and you're probably going to hear my device because my mother is getting ready to take the dog for a walk, so you're going to hear some noises. Anyway, so we're going to turn this around. We're going to...
Someone was detected at your carport.
We're going to...
Someone was detected at your front door.
And we're going to complete the stitch going back up, just like we've been doing. Okay, so we have the first row of the ghost done. Now the second row is also another white. Now you can do like we did with the ghost with the purple. You can either do the half stitch going down and do these, or you can do like what I did with the heart. You can do this, and when you come back up, then you start here, skip 3, which that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be skipping because there's really not that many, and it's just, I don't want to get too confusing here. So we're just going to skip the stuff in the ghost eyes. So I'm going to do that right now real quick. I'll put it on a time lapse. Okay, so as you can see, I have the first white part of the first ghost done. This is what it's going to look like on the back. So essentially what we're going to do with this white is we're just going to let it cross over, and then we're going to just start on the next ghost. I try not to do this, but because we have a darker background, it's not going to show through, and it's really not that much, and I don't want to have to cut and restart. So I like to just go across and then continue on. Now you got to remember that this ghost is mirrored, so the eyes are different. Like on this one it goes big little, and then this one's little big, so just remember that when you're doing that. But essentially that's what we're going to be continuing on. We're just going to keep doing the white of the back of the ghost. And I like to do, so I like to do the colors like from the biggest to the littlest. So the purple was the biggest, the white is the smallest, or the next biggest, and then we'll do the red, then we'll do black, and then we'll do pink. So you don't have to do it that way. You can do it whatever color you want. I just find that this tends to be like the easiest thing to do for me. It's just, I like seeing how it fills out in big chunks, and then the smaller pieces are easier to see, and you don't have to like count and try and figure out, like if you were just gonna do the ghost first. Like I've done other patterns like that where I've tried to do like the actual pattern first and then the background, and let me just tell you, it was very hard. You had to make sure you had the right number, that you went for it, and that everything was in the right place. And even sometimes I had to go back and start over or scrap it, depended on how I was feeling that day. So these are just the easiest ways that I've found that work for me the best. But everyone's different, so you do whatever you want. But for the purpose of this tutorial, these are how I do it. So I'm going to continue filling in the second ghost, and when I'm done, I'll come back and we'll move on to the heart. Okay, so here's how our ghosts are looking. Here's how the backs look. So we're going to take care of this little tail here. So all you're going to do is you're just going to cut it and leave like a millimeter or two, probably like 2 or 3, 2 millimeters maybe, half a centimeter, I don't know, just so that it's not hanging over the edge, and try not to pull. Now we're going to move on to the heart. So you're going to get your color for your heart and find the end. And you're not going to need that much, so you really don't need to cut too much. And of course, I'm going to ditch the string. Thread the needle. This video is going to be so long. Oh boy. Okay, so essentially, like we did, we're just going to flip it and just find a spot close to where you're gonna start the heart. I tend to just go under those, and like we did, we're going to leave a little bit of a tail, and again, you're going to want to like pull it down a little gently and hold it, and then we are just going to start the heart. And the heart's all this color, so we don't have to worry about skipping anything. We're just going to do the half stitch into the full stitch like we've been doing. Until it's complete. Another tip I want to say is that I don't know if you can see, but there's like this little bit of thread coming up, and that's just this tail trying to come up over there. So a lot of times I just will pull it out so that it's not sticking up. You want to be careful that it's what it is so that you don't like mess up this. So I just try to pull those away. It shouldn't matter anyway, but I just wanted to give you that tip also, that sometimes the tails can pop through and you just have to kind of gently take them out. Come to the back and just find a place to tuck it in, as long as it's not going to undo one of the other tails. Because if you tuck it down while one's coming up, you could potentially undo that. So we're just going to cut, and it's okay if you cut one of the others, and then we're going to trim this so that it's not hanging over the edge. Now we've got to get black. Again, we don't need that much. It's probably even too much, but better safe than sorry. And like we did with the other colors, we're just going to find a place to tuck it that's going to be close to where we're starting. So but you want to be careful about tucking it behind the white too much, because like I said before, sometimes it can show through. So we're going to leave a tail, we're going to hold on to it, and then like the pattern shows, 1 2 1 2 and then 1. So 1 2 2. And I'm gonna let go of the little tail now, and we have just 1 for the little eye. So there's the black on the first one. So you can either do what we did with the white and take that over, or you can cut it, tuck it, and start. I find that with these little ones, it's just easier to do this. Not to mention it's hidden behind the felt for the backing of the bookmark, so you won't be able to see it anyway. And we're gonna take care of those just in case, kind of like a backup plan that I'm gonna show you after this. Okay, now, like I said, you don't want to tuck it in the white, so you kind of just want to find, like, see, I almost did that and it was going to pull that, so we want to get some above it because we don't want to pull it out. I mean, if we did, we could fix it when we seal the little tails down, but you really don't want to have to fix it that way. And then finally, all we have is the pink. This is how it should look so far. Again, we're going to trim this tail down. That's how it should be looking on the back so far. And here's the front, looking cute. And now some pink. Again, don't need much. And then we're just gonna find, see, this light pink would be okay behind the white because it's so light, but anything darker, I would not recommend doing that. So like I said, leave a tail, hold it. See, okay, so I pulled it through, I wasn't holding it well enough. So we just have to go back in and put it back through. Maybe leave out more of a tail. Pull it down, really hold. That's when that gets harder with the littler ones because the string's not as long. So you don't have to like pull as much. I'm really happy that this pink is showing up out from this white because I was really worried because if you get too light of colors going together, it can just blend in. And that's what I was worried about for this pink, but I think you can see it pretty well. So I'm going to stop holding the tail now because we've done full cross stitches. They should be pretty okay. And then like I've been doing with the white and black, I'm just going to take it across and continue over here. And sometimes I don't always know where to go. It's just kind of like a trial and error. Once you start doing it though, you kind of get used to it. I am just so happy that I'm almost done. I know you guys have been patiently waiting for me to do this, but like I said, busy and wanting to make sure I did it right and that it was a decent quality. And again, I have to make sure I'm doing it when it's not too loud, even though we do still get some sounds, but oh well. Okay, and we have just finished, finally, the last color. Oops, don't want that to go under that black. Okay, so I'm gonna trim and then trim this one down a little bit. Okay, so I secure the tails by just using regular old glue, like Elmer's glue, school glue. I literally take a little bit. You don't want a lot, just a little bit, and I just squash the tail down. This is gonna dry clear, so it's not gonna matter. You won't be able to see it, you won't be able to feel it underneath the felt. This is just gonna help that so that like when you're using it and bending it and stuff, it's not going to come up. Now the starting one, you don't really need to glue at all because it's pretty secure in there, but the rest of them I recommend. You can be as generous as you want, but honestly you really don't need to put too much, and of course it's going to dry clear, so this is how it's going to look after you glue it, and it's just to secure the strings. And then this is the finished pattern part.